So, Maria Isabel Rodriguez, thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you.
It's a real
Pleasure.
treat.
Thank you.
I
Same
love
here.
your art.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
can you tell me a little bit about how you started and what, the direction that you took for the art that you're doing now?
Of course. Uh, well, long before I immigrate to from Guatemala to Canada,
Oh,
this is
okay.
36 years ago, a long time ago. I was I knew since the beginning that I want to do something that can create some income, but at the same time do something with that I was passionate. Art was always the main interest.
Hmm.
So I looked for something that at the same time I was able to support my family. I went into illustration and design.
Okay.
I graduated as an illustrator in Dawson, so I have a deck in illustration and design, and that
Nice.
opened a new way because I never took art lessons before. And after that, it was mostly self taught,
Mm-hmm.
but I never stopped always. I worked many years as a textile designer and style
Okay.
designer for the fashion industry for many, many years, 20 something years,
Wow.
which
Okay.
I still do.
Nice.
Once in a while, I still create things in that sense, but it's more commercial. So
Hmm.
then, I after I graduate from Dawson, I start to do my own more fine arts
Hmm.
without, what is marketing and. I was editorial marketing, so it was always given a direction to execute the work as per I wanted to search my own freedom of expression. So I started with figurative in 2003. Actually, that painting is one of the
That's very nice.
first paintings I start to do. And then after, in 2017, approximately, I went on and off on always creating on my own, but for a special gift or something like that. And then after in 2017, I wanted to get out completely on the figurative and go to the abstract.
Mm-hmm.
I was influenced by Kandinsky, Bakunin. I love those artists, and I saw you know my the colors and how they represent the work. So that was like I like to
It
get
inspired
away,
you.
yes, get
Yeah.
away from what it was, the figurative, and
Mhm.
just explore more my uh,
Your own
internal.
personal journey.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Would you consider this abstract?
no,
No.
no, it's more semi-abstract, I
Yeah.
will say. And then that was a period that I did just abstracts for 2015 to 2017. Then after, during the pandemic, we all have time to reconsider our work, and we have more
Yeah,
time
like
to
so
be at
many of us.
home and
Yes. Yeah.
isolation and all that, and
Yeah.
how to express myself. But I find, you see, I'm interested on the stigmatized mental health. I have family with mental illness,
Mhm.
and I wanted to explore that on a deeper level. And I choose florals as an analogy, really, of what it makes us as humans,
Mhm.
our mental, our spirit and soul.
Mhm.
So I use the florals as an analogy for that, and I just been very attracted to florals, but they are so fragile. At the same time, they're so resilient. They can
Okay.
grow everywhere.
Okay.
And
And they're
dealing,
beautiful.
they
Yeah.
always bring joy. So
All minds are beautiful. Yeah.
that's what I want to create. Something that they can be so fragile as us
Hmm.
and people who suffer from mental health. Uh, and at the same time, they're so resilient and so strong.
Hmm.
So that's the connection I give with my work. And I start to explore. I work without references in this
Hmm.
case, even though I'm an illustrator. An illustrator
Hmm.
really have to create something that really much look like what you're. So you have to
What
be.
is it like as an illustrator with textiles? Yes.
So for editorial work, for instance, then it's different. Like
Mm.
you have to create things that they really look realistic, that
Mm.
they really like. So you work with a lot of references,
And the tools that you
pictures.
use to create
It
the.
was like a charcoal and a lot of ink and charcoal, and the scales are super small because it doesn't matter. You can blow them and
Mhm.
then print it in different sizes.
Mm.
So I work with Photoshop, Illustrator. So I
Mm.
learned all those programs.
So you create it first with
Yes,
raw materials,
yes,
and then you use photography and what have you and computer work to
yes,
enhance it.
exactly.
Okay, and then it's applied to the textile.
And it's
Okay.
either applied to a text set to editorial
Mhm.
for illustrations and
Illustrations,
stuff
yeah.
like that. So it's anything is like that. I work the way I work because you can work directly from the
Mhm.
computer, but I always like that element to bring us back to our roots and our ancestors, how to create, right, from charcoal, which is one of the raw materials that we have for centuries. So that is what attracts me, is the history of it. So I always tend to work anything by completely taking in the materials
Okay.
and like before going into the computer. And then for the way I work, that's my process. Is like I don't prepare works uh, on hand. I do studies of it.
Mm.
Sometimes, like I can do a challenge of 100 paintings and small sizes just to get my hand going, my ideas going. And some of them are, yes, I can take them and make them big.
Mhm.
But most of the time, when I start a work and it's very intimidating, right? It's like, wow, it's this big white surface with
Yes,
nothing on it,
I know.
and
It takes courage.
what you gonna put there,
Mm.
right? So since I don't work with references,
Mm.
uh, it just comes from what is my memory of
Mm.
what the representation of a flower can be,
Yes, yeah, no, I
and it
understand.
comes
Yes,
from that. And then
yes.
as I go, and a lot of my paintings has a lot of layers, a lot of workout, a lot of
Mm.
many times as tons of errors, right? Like I do something I don't like and I cover this part, but I look, and it's like this internal dialogue
Mm.
between the artwork and myself to
Do you find that sometimes you finish it, you say you finish it, you leave it there, you say okay, and then you leave it for some time, you come back, and you go, oh, I got to do something else on it.
it happens,
Mm.
and it happens all the time. And I think like most of the artists,
Mm.
they will run. The artwork is ready to go
Yeah,
to the place, to the gallery, to the exhibition, and you can still run and put
and put
something
something
on it.
on it. Yeah,
The hardest thing is think for artists is
Mm.
to actually
Let it go.
know when to
Yeah,
just let it go.
yeah,
Like one is like feel right to you.
yeah. Yes, that's it.
So it's a constant dialogue in terms on decisions making.
Mhm.
So
So
in
you're painting, and then you're painting, and then all of a sudden you go and you look at it, you go, oh, I'm done.
yes, and it is in a process, right? Sometimes I work with 3, 4, 5 paintings at a time,
Mm.
and I leave them there because there is something there. I
Mhm.
work for so many hours, but it's still not giving me. And I by
Mhm.
leaving it in a corner, and then I come back to it and I reflect on it. So it's
Yes,
a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
reflective time because you see, okay, I like this, and maybe I can adapt it as a count to resolve certain
I think there's a lot of value in that. Like, I know that, many of us, including myself, sometimes you just want to finish it. You want to get it done. It's finished.
mhm.
I think when you reach that stage, like what you're saying, is that you're able to leave it and reflect on it, and then come back and then keep on adding. I think that's a whole other level, and it makes a lot of sense.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes, because anything, I mean, our society is trained to be
quick and
quick,
production,
and
get it out the
yes,
door.
yes, and we want that feeling, but
Mm.
unfortunately, when it comes to art,
Yeah,
it doesn't apply. I
no,
think all the rules of the conventional work it doesn't apply
It doesn't
to
apply.
art.
No, it doesn't.
So that's why
Mm,
it's such an intriguing and mystical and extraordinary
mhm.
type of way of living,
Yeah.
because it's nothing compares
Mhm.
to what the way the whole world works with. So the rules is like changing all the time and constant evolution,
Yeah.
because there is some reflective on it. There is time to reflect, and I have a lot of works that I come back to it and I have to rework it, and I have, so it's like it's part of it.
What do you feel was your biggest challenge um, in your your art experience, where you met a real challenge and then you were able to overcome it?
Constantly, I think each of each artwork that I create,
Hmm.
it's going to encounter a challenge. There is absolutely nothing, because of the way I process and I create my work, there is none of them that I would say, I know where I'm going. If I put this one flower and I see it and I paint it as I look at it, I will encounter challenges,
Hmm.
but never as if you start working with an artwork and you have completely no sense of where it's
It's your
going.
imagination, and you're just going with your.
Yes, but then you have to analyze also the composition
Yeah.
and the colors
Mm-hmm.
theory. If it's but if you get too cerebral in that, if that way, then you lost touch with what is magic, which is the unexplainable.
Hmm.
And it's also certain humility, because you have to accept that there's gonna be mistakes, and
Hmm.
what's what it makes us human and vulnerable,
Yeah,
right? It's like, and that is the beauty of
it is
life.
the beauty. Yeah, it
That's the
is.
beauty,
Yeah,
to accept imperfection,
yeah.
because none of us is, and none of the artworks are, and you can find flaws in everything.
Because actually, the beauty is in the imperfection. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
So for me, that's
And,
very
and I
essential.
could see how that applies to mental illness, right? So it's, yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yes. And I mostly like vibrant colors, and I guess that comes from my country, Guatemala, where I was grow up. I came here at 21 years old, but still
Mhm.
the colors were, the light is different, the colors are vibrant, is very rich in culture and natural beauty of always see plants and flowers and colors.
Mhm.
So that is what, and it brings that joy. So that's, for me, is important that my work has a positive message.
Very
And
different here in Canada,
absolutely,
as far as the
i
gardens.
start I started yes. And that's why I think we need more color, and that's
Mhm.
what I want to see more in the decoration. And
Mhm.
it's like, when you buy a piece of art, you buy something that it's part of that artist, it's some of the history that he went through. And
Mhm. I'm generalizing, but I feel that in Latin America, Central America,